I am the Vancouver School Board Chair, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. With deep gratitude and respect, we are honored to be learning and unlearning on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Hamaquiam, Skohomo-Shokomeo, and Tsleil-Waututh. We are currently broadcasting this meeting live, and the recordings will be available after the meeting ends. This board has a strong commitment to ethical conduct, and we ask that we all adhere to a safe and respectful workplace. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that our meetings are conducted so. As a Board of Education, it's important that we model the behavior we expect of students in our schools. If members of the public have questions, question period today is item 11 on tonight's agenda. And you can submit using the link provided on our board website. The link will stay open until after item number 7 on the agenda. This evening's meeting marks our final public board meeting of this school year. It's really nice to see young people in the boardroom. Not a very exciting meeting for young people, but it's great to see them here. So thank you for coming tonight. June is a busy and meaningful time across VSB, with staff, students, and families marking important milestones: graduation ceremonies, school sports days, year-end performances, and moving ahead ceremonies. But every single event is an opportunity to recognize achievement, come together, and to celebrate student learning. At the center of each of these activities is a strong sense of connection and belonging. We saw that reflected this week as we gathered outside here at the Education Center to raise our Pride flag in recognition of Pride Month. And at the student-led DEI conference, where students created space to share, to learn from one another, and to support more inclusive and welcoming school communities. This commitment to equity is also reflected in how we recognize and honor Indigenous voices and perspectives across our school district. Respecting those perspectives, I want to acknowledge National Indigenous Peoples Day on June 21st. While the day itself falls on Sunday, many schools will mark the occasion through learning and activities that celebrate the contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And on behalf of the board, I share our gratitude to inherent rights holders for their ongoing guidance throughout this school year, through our IEC, through our standing committees. Their perspectives continue to inform and strengthen the work that we do here as a board at the table. I'd like to recognize the leadership of students. Last week, with Vice Chair Fraser, I had the opportunity to attend the student leadership and Trustee Richardson, attend the student leadership grant gathering here at the Education Center. These grants were a priority identified by this board, and it is encouraging to see that investment already supporting student leadership and ideas in very meaningful ways. I want to recognize all the grads this month as well. We've had the pleasure of attending moving ahead ceremonies for grade 7 students, a lot of grad ceremonies for grade 12s, adult education, alternative programs, and it has been absolutely magical. So congratulations to both the students and the families. On behalf of the board, I want to thank staff, students, and families for their support and commitment throughout this whole school year. We wish everyone a safe, respectful, and enjoyable summer. For tonight's meeting, staff, trustees, and everyone here tonight is at the Education Center in our boardroom. I welcome Superintendent McGregor, Secretary Treasurer Coughlin, and all of the trustees at the table. I'd like to ask you to introduce yourself, starting at my right.
Trustee Christopher Richardson.
Trustee Susie Ma.
Trustee Avachin.
Trustee Preeti Friedkot.
Lois Chan-Pedley, trustee.
Freddie Zhang, student trustee.
Janet Fraser, trustee, she, her.
Thank you, We have regrets from trustees Reddy and trustee Zhang. Before we proceed this evening, I'd kindly like to ask everyone put their cell phones away or on silent, as we do have lots to get through. We'll move to the agenda tonight. Item number 2, I will move that the agenda be approved as presented. Trustee Ma.
Chair, I have an urgent motion that I would like to have dealt with tonight. And I can hand out copies of it to the trustees, and I also have it on a memory stick.
Wonderful. Would you mind, is there a place in the, so right now we're going to agenda, so if you'd like it added to the agenda, do you know where in the agenda, is it a notice of motion?
It's an urgent matter, so I would actually like to have it added to the agenda. I'm just looking at the agenda here. I would like to have it as right before, as item 9.2.
Okay, we'll go to, so this is between, okay, so that's just the second one under 9. So right after new business, before notice of motion.
Correct.
Okay, we're going to take a recess because I don't believe, have you provided that to staff?
I just finished it today and it's urgent.
Sorry, have you provided it to staff?
No, but I
Okay,
have it on.
so
a
we'll
memory
take a
stick.
recess and
Thank you.
and then we'll get it up on the screen for everyone to see, and then we'll vote on it. Thank you for your patience. We'll just take, staff, do you need 5 or 10 minutes? Okay, we'll take a recess and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. And thank you to staff for getting that up so quickly. Trustee Ma, what you see on the screen is that I'm struggling to see because I don't have my glasses. What you see on the screen, is that what you wrote?
Thank you, Chair. It was the same as what's on the memory stick, and that was copied and pasted on the screen. Yes.
So is it what I have on the paper that you
Yes,
provided?
it is.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, and to add this to the agenda tonight, we need a 2/3 vote. And there are 7 of us, which requires 5 of the 7 to approve this to be added to the agenda. We've got the motion. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you very much. Trustee Ma, would you like to speak to your amendment to the agenda item?
So I'm only speaking on why it should be added to the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So this, I'm sure that trustees have watched this news item on the radio or listened to it on the radio, and also seen a news clip on television. I think it's been a very divisive and upsetting issue that has happened with the Britannia Hockey Academy. And seeing that this is the last meeting in the year, this would be the only opportunity to reverse that decision, because that staff member who is doing the program, running the program, would possibly be gone at the end of June. And so it's important that we deal with this situation tonight, so the parents and the community at Britannia have some sort of decision as to whether or not their program is a go for next year or not. So it is an urgent matter. I don't think it can wait till September, and it certainly would not be dealt with during the summer, because we don't meet during the summer. So this would be the only opportunity. And I ask trustees to consider it and to have it debated and to have it heard today.
Any other comments before we go to a vote? Trustee Chen Pedley?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm opposed to debating this tonight. I have seen the emails, and my understanding is that this is a fully operational matter, and I don't believe the board should be debating this on any agendas, let alone tonight's agenda. So I would be opposing this motion.
Trustee Richardson?
Madam Chair, I'm in favor of this motion being added to the agenda. I think the matter that we're looking at this point of the discussion is it an urgent or emergent matter that therefore that can't wait. So I think that the opportunity to present and to explain the urgency and the implications is something that this board should deal with. Any operational matter is operational until this board decides that it's policy. And therefore, on that basis, I think that the board should consider it and be added to the agenda this evening.
Would anyone like to speak to whether this is added to the agenda or not tonight? Okay, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor of, would you like to close, Trustee? You have more to say? Absolutely, go ahead.
Is my mic on? Okay, good. So I think it's important, as I say, I think the merits of whether it's operation or governance, that can be debated when the motion comes to the floor. And those trustees that don't agree with it can discuss that then, but this is about urgency. This is about having it on the agenda. This is about having it discussed. We've got people here from Britannia. We've got other parents and the community here that are interested in finding out what the trustees feel about the situation. So I urge trustees to vote to have it on the agenda.
All those in favor? Trustee Ma, Trustee Richardson, Trustee Chen, Trustee Friedcoat, Trustee Fraser, is that a hand? Trustee Fraser, okay. Those opposed? Trustee Chen Pedley, Trustee Young. Okay, the motion is added to the agenda. We will edit the agenda to add this as I believe the first item on Is this number 10? Notice 9-2. Okay, thanks. Okay. Okay, so we'll now go back to the agenda as amended. And we'll go to a vote. Those in favor? Okay, unanimous support. Thank you. Moving to the next item. We have adoption of minutes. Okay, well, I'll look for a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of May the 25th, 2026, which was public delegation board meeting, the May 27th, 2026 board meeting, and the June 15th, 2026 public delegation meeting. Moved by trustee Freecoat, seconded by trustee Chen. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments before we go to approve the minutes? Okay, those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much. Matters arising, any matters arising? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to item 4 on the agenda, which is the superintendent's update.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome everybody to the last board meeting of this school year. Next slide, please. The month of June is Pride Month, as you heard from the chair earlier, and it's also National Indigenous History Month. For Pride, schools across VSB have participated in Pride celebrations and activities. A kindergarten class at Norma Rose Point Elementary learned how small hands can make a big impact in their community. They organized a tire wash fundraiser in support of 2S LGBTQ+ organizations across the Lower Mainland. At Selkirk Elementary, students participated in a march and dance party, which drew cheers from several members of the community. And Gladstone's GSA and Scrapbook Club collaborated to create a large scrapbook pride flag to spread the message of inclusion for the community. On VSB's website, as part of a series for National Indigenous History Month, staff have been sharing reflections and learning from April's Indigenous Focused Professional Development Day. And also, Franklin Elementary celebrated a mural by Jerry Whitehead, who created a design that reflected the school's commitment to reconciliation. Jerry Whitehead, a respected Cree artist from Saskatchewan, brought decades of artistic experience and cultural knowledge to the project. The mural features dancers representing parents, children, and grandparents, symbolizing the strong intergenerational bonds and the importance of family in the Franklin community. Celebrating different identities and cultures helps create a school system where students can see themselves reflected in their learning journeys. And you can see some of the images on the screen there. Next slide, please. This month, we also celebrated the achievements of Indigenous graduates at VSB. I was very happy to attend the grade 12 Indigenous Achievement Celebration on June 11th. Where elders, staff, and families gathered to honor and celebrate the Indigenous graduating class of 2026. 105 Indigenous grads across the district gathered to mark this significant milestone and reflect on each unique educational journey. Guests from the Indigenous community shared stories, songs, and dances. Swatsu Coastal Wolfpack performed a traditional welcome. Chief Ian Campbell of the Squamish Nation, Okameo Nation, shared a canoe song. Brandy McCullum, Sean, Ray, Gabriel, and their son, YM One Love Gabriel, performed a family dance to cheers of the crowd. The final speaker of the evening was valedictorian Sequoia from Britannia Secondary, who shared some encouragement with his fellow grads. And it was a very, very lovely celebration for everybody who was able to attend. Moving to the next slide, and the chair spoke about this earlier, and Freddie was a big part of this work. So last Thursday, students from various schools came together to celebrate the completion of the Student Leadership Fund projects. The Student Leadership Fund dedicates $100,000 annually to enhance student leadership opportunities across the district. The annual fund was approved by the board in 2023. And the Vancouver District Students Council are the ones who help get the word out about the opportunities. So this year, 74 projects were funded, representing a diverse range of student voices, priorities, and passions from across the district. There were 35 projects at secondary schools, 30 at elementary, and 9 cross-school or district initiatives, including collaborations spanning both elementary and secondary schools, and a broad variety of themes, belonging and inclusive space creation, creative expressions through the arts, music, writing, and design, cross-school and cross-age mentorship, well-being and outdoor education, as well as skill development and real-world learning. The fund really enabled students to lead initiatives that have had lasting and will have lasting impacts among their school communities. Very thankful to all of the VDSE student leaders who organized and facilitated the event last week. And I know that the trustees, as mentioned earlier, that were able to attend were very pleased to learn more from the student participants. It was a very lovely afternoon and lots of learning for everyone. Next slide. Talking about excellence, 4 VSB students, and you can see them on the screen, had exceptional results at the Skills Canada National Competition in Toronto earlier this month. Matthew Coe from Eric Hamber won a silver medal for fashion technology. Julia Louis from David Thompson took home a silver for baking. Stuart Sanderson from Tupper won a bronze medal for workplace safety, and Abjit Sarkaria from John Oliver placed 4th for job skill demonstration. So we are just so very impressed by these students who have pursued many diverse areas of learning, and what a recognition for them to be able to go and participate as part of Team BC and to have this experience. So congratulations to these students and the staff that have supported and coached them through this lovely, lovely experience. And you can see them, they're in, they have their team uniforms on from British Columbia. So you can see that in some of the, when you see the pictures of the students from the different provinces, it's a very lovely event. So thanks to everybody for that. Moving to the next slide. On Friday, June 5th, secondary students across VSB came together at Simon Fraser University Segal Building in Vancouver to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion. This year's theme for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Conference was entitled Amplifying Story. And that was present throughout the entire day of learning for everyone. Workshop topics included identity, Black history, queer history, and accessibility. You can see an image of some of the student organizers on the side, and then a part of the session there. The day concluded with a celebration of Afro-Caribbean music and dance from Gladstone Secondary Senior Dance Team. And the goal of the conference, now in its 7th year, is to celebrate and learn about different cultures and identities, in turn helping to create positive learning environments where students feel connected and accepted. And great appreciation to the student organizers who organized this event. It's no small feat to run a district-wide event for students, and the many staff behind the scenes who supported this incredible day of learning and impact. Next slide. So some of you may have heard about Fit for Learning. So throughout the school year, many VSB secondary students have attended monthly learning webinars during their flexible instructional time. These learning opportunities cover a range of topics, including resilience, mental health, goal setting, community building, curiosity, and media literacy, a few of the topics. The webinars also introduce students across all of our high schools to industry professionals who broaden their perspectives and inspire them to start thinking about future pathways. Notable speakers this year have included Whitecaps player Jivan Badwal, Rise FC defender Sura Yeka, media executive Catherine Winder, and actor Ryan Reynolds. So a bit of an overview of the work that has happened in FIT, and very appreciative to all of the staff who've been along the way in creating these opportunities, not for individual schools and groups of students to participate, but for secondary students across our district to have these great opportunities. And moving along to the next slide, leading up to summer break, Not only are we providing opportunities for students to learn, but also families. We're sharing practical tech habits that can support student well-being through the summer and beyond. So in this episode of After the Bell, Matthew Johnson, Director of Education for Media Sparks, Canada's Centre for Digital Media Literacy, joined Christina Walker, VSB District Digital Literacy Mentor, for an important conversation. Matthew and Christina explore practical ways families can support healthy, balanced, and thoughtful technology use. And these are schools that are really important all year round, but especially during the summer months when children and youth may have more time. So please check it out online. We know we had many families participate last week when it was live. And moving on to the next slide. As the chair mentioned, as we're heading to the end of the school year, we're looking forward to the summer. And while we're reaching the end of students being in the regular school year, summer learning at VSB is starting very soon. And summer learning offers enrichment and preparation for many students across the district through a wide variety of courses. For students who need some targeted literacy support over the summer, VSB offers Rec and Read, a program designed for students in grade 1 transitioning to grade 2. The first half of the day is spent on activities to boost literacy skills, and the other half is spent participating in recreational activities with local community partners. This program is offered at various districts, as you know, across various sites across the district. But this year we've added a new element. We're excited to launch the very first Rec and Read program at the Musqueam Cultural Center. The literacy portion will be taught by a teacher from VSB's Indigenous Education Department who will deliver culturally responsive instruction that supports student literacy. And the afternoon recreational program will be led by Musqueam community members. We're very happy to partner with Musqueam on this initiative and to offer literacy supports to Musqueam students right in their own community. So we're very excited about that new development and partnership. And as we wrap up the school year, I'd really like to take a moment to thank all of the staff who make a vibrant school district for over 52,000 students every single day. I hope the summer provides time to reset and recharge for those of you folks who do get that summer break. And although schools are quieter after summer learning finishes at the end of July, for many it's a time of much work and planning. Whether it's facilities work, it's planning, it's grounds, so many things, as we know, happen behind the scenes, working on the finances, getting our staffing in order. So very thankful to all of those staff who will continue to work this summer, making a meaningful difference for students and school communities across VSB. And Chair, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent McGregor. We'll now move to, are there any questions regarding what you saw there? Okay, wonderful. Thanks for highlighting some of the great stuff that's happening. I think there's a lot that happens that people are unaware of, and so it's really nice to be able to toot the horn of all the good staff members who are doing great stuff. Number 5, committee reports. We'll go to 5.1, Facilities Planning Committee. Trustee Friedcote. I'd like to ask you move receipt of the report.
Thank you, Chair. I'll move the receipt of the report from the Facilities Planning Committee.
Okay, is there a seconder? Trustee Fraser, thank you very much. Questions, comments? Okay, if there are no objections, we'll move receipt by consensus. Okay, matters arising. Trustee Friedcote.
Yes. Yes, Chair. We have some recommendations from the Facilities Planning Committee regarding the 2027-2028 5-year capital plan and minor capital plan. I'll move that the board approve the 2027-2028 5-year major capital plan and the 2027-2028 minor capital plan for submission to the Ministry of Infrastructure. And further, that the board request approval from the Ministry of Infrastructure to use $27,360,000 of ministry restricted capital to fund the following capital improvements up to $11 $10,360,000 for building system upgrades, up to $10 million for accessible inclusive washroom upgrades, and up to $6 million for the removal of vacant buildings.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, we'll go to trustee Richardson and then trustee Ma.
Thank you, Chair. I am pleased to put this forward, but I think that the devil is in the detail. This request, and I think it was highlighted by I think our vice chair at a previous meeting. This report doesn't highlight the fact that the ministry has a longstanding promise to seismically upgrade our facilities to ensure our students are safe in schools. And in researching when, of course, this was a 2020 promise that was made in about 2000. It's debatable whether it was 2004, 2005, or 2006. Whatever it was 2020. It was a far distance off, and it was seen to be achievable. I did notice Vancouver Sun report in 2015 titled "Seismic Upgrading of BC Schools Pushed Back 10 Years." And I learned something in looking at that article. The government in 2015, in March, pushed our 2020 deadline for the seismic upgrading. And there's some debate on whether it's all schools or all those schools that had sufficient occupancy, and that's a minor point. That they pushed this with a report from the Society of Professional Engineers to 2030. And I had in this report, it suggests that other districts was still promised to be 2025. But whatever it is that the governments, and I know there's been a change in government, but the dirty little secret is that promise to ensure that all children attending school in Vancouver and elsewhere throughout the province has been delayed and deferred. And this plan isn't going to fully put us on side, but I think it is appropriate that while we're approving this and moving forward, that we have an advocacy task before us to ensure, and the presence of various ministers at grads show that they're aware of public education, but they need to, in fact, look at this. And I appreciate they have tough decisions in terms of other priorities in the education field and elsewhere, but we need more money. And with that, I think we have to push this forward, but we needed to be in the context that this is now what was just proceeding is now an urgent matter. Thank you.
Trustee Ma.
Thank you, Chair. So this motion, although I'm in favor of using I'm in favor of part of the motion, I'm not in favor of the $6 million for the removal of vacant buildings. I do understand that we did receive money from the Ministry of Education and Childcare to build the new Waquanis and the new Maple Grove. However, we have two buildings that are there, which on page 30 of page 190 talks that it's $100,000 to maintain those two buildings. I, at facilities meeting, asked about, well, what about partnering with the Ministry of Education and Childcare or partnering with the City of Vancouver to look at upgrading these two vacant buildings? They're large. They could certainly be used to house childcare. They could be used for other public services. And for us to just demolish two buildings and have play space or playground or just bare ground, I don't agree with that. I think that we have these public buildings on public land and they should be used for public good. Thanks.
Trustee Fraser.
So thank you, Chair. And I've been a trustee for quite a while, and during all that time, we have consistently submitted requests to the Ministry of Education for capital funding.
In the last 4 years, we've had one seismic project and 2 expansion projects. One of those was the long-awaited Olympic Village. It's very hard to be a trustee when you're not able to do the work that you'd like to do to provide the facilities that I believe we should have for our students. More than 40% of our schools are seismically unsafe. So, of course, I'm in support of submitting our major and minor capital plan supports. We have been trying pretty much since the whole time I've been elected to get more seismically safe schools across the city. There are more seismically safe in certain areas of the city, and I think that's historically because if you want to get funding from the provincial government, you have to meet their criteria. If you put forward projects that they're not going to support, they won't be supported. And we've been trying to have a more even spread of projects and have not been able to get the ministry to fund the projects we need. With regards to the request for money from the ministry restricted capital, we here as a board, we are asking to spend $27 million of our own money to improve the facilities of our district. This is money that the board has gone through a long, difficult process to raise and to use for students. And I believe it's unfortunate that the ministry decided to put it in their restricted capital fund so that we wouldn't be able to access the money directly ourselves. This is $27 million that the ministry should be investing for our students, and yet we are doing that work. I appreciate the consistent advocacy of students talking about washrooms, and I'm like that we're able to try and make a difference there. The building system upgrades are addressing climate change, addressing better learning and working environments. That's important work that we have not been able to address for a long time. For the vacant buildings, I appreciate Trustee Ma's desire to use them in a practical sense, and in particular for childcare, but the funding for childcare is $5 million, and I think, Secretary Treasurer, if I'm correct, $5 million over 3 years for all the school districts in the province. So, you know, we are applying for projects that will fit within the funding envelope that the ministry has made available. And they have not made available seismic upgrading for childcare buildings. And we have sites, in particular Maple Grove site, with very constricted sites where the students have limited outdoor space. We have buildings that cannot be used safely by students. We have limited opportunities to use them, and the maintenance burden on future boards will only continue to increase while the students don't have access to those spaces. So I am in favor of this request. I hope that we will get good news from the ministry.
Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, but I support this because I see the need in our buildings, as Trustee Fraser said, to upgrade. And in a conversation at a park recently, a parent talked to me about school bathrooms, and so I was happy to say that this was coming to the board for 10 million to go towards bathroom upgrades. But this is, as we all know, we have a leaky bucket, and we keep trying to put holes, cover the holes in the bucket with the limited funds that we get from the ministry. And so I support this because it is in the direction that we want to go. Is it enough? No, but it provides funds to do things that are necessary. All those in favor? Okay, trustees Richardson, Chen, Friedko, Chan, Pedley, Fraser, and Young. Those opposed? Trustee Ma. Thank you. The motion carries. 5.1.2.2, trustee Friedcoat.
Thank you, Chair. So we have another matter arising. It was regarding the rezoning requirement for the new elementary school at Olympic Village. And we have a recommendation from the Facilities Planning Committee regarding rezoning requirement. I'll move that the school district number 39, Olympic Village Elementary School rezoning charges bylaw 2026 be given 3 readings at this meeting.
Thank you, trustee Friedcoat. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson. Okay. All those in favor? Would you like to speak to the 3 readings?
Yeah, do we not get to debate this? We should, we have in the past.
We are currently voting on whether or not there should be 3 readings at this meeting.
So what, Chair, what are you going to rule? Do I get to speak or not?
Would you like to comment on whether or not there should be 3 readings of the bylaw at tonight's meeting?
Yes, I am opposed to the 3 readings, and I will say why. As much as I think this school needs to go ahead, it's desperately needed.
Sorry, just to keep you in line here, it's on whether or not we have 3 readings. There will be an opportunity to speak. This is
When is the
typically-
opportunity?
Well, it's not right now. It's actually just on whether or not we're having 3 readings tonight.
Well, Chair, if we do not agree, like we do not have unanimous consent at this point, it goes to 2 readings. Is that correct?
Correct?
So at which point do I get to speak?
I'm going to ask our Secretary Treasurer, Flavia Coughlin, to comment.
So at this point, the motion that is moved and seconded is to give the bylaw 3 readings. So the debate at this point should focus on whether or not 3 readings should be given, not the substance of the bylaw. Once the board starts considering the readings, either 3 or just 2 readings tonight, that's when trustees should debate the substance of the bylaw.
Thank you very much. Trustee Richardson, you had a comment? Saw your hand.
Chair, I think that this is a matter and those very substantial matters that require 3 readings. We have throughout this board's term been denied that 3 readings. It isn't denying the opportunity to clearly state why a trustee is in favor or not in favor. But I think it's important for the audience here and those that are watching that it means that the board, the staff then reconvene a meeting or reconvene the board a day or 2 later to enable the 3rd reading to be dealt with. And so I think it should be very clear that the opportunity to debate the issue is always available to all trustees. It's just a matter of the convenience and the efficiency of the board in terms of getting to that place. So I just think we have to clarify what the implication of delaying the 3rd reading is. The outcome is not affected at all.
Thank you. Any other comments on what we see on the screen with regard to 3 readings of the bylaw? Okay, we're going to vote right now on only whether or not we have 3 readings of the bylaw tonight, and then there will be an opportunity to speak of the substance of the rezoning requirements for the elementary school at Olympic Village. All those in favor of having 3 readings of the bylaw at this meeting? Trustees Richardson, Chen, Friedcoat, Tran, Pedley, Fraser, and Young. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Trustee Ma, thank you. So it is not unanimous. Would you mind just clarifying whether an abstention is for or against, or how it is weighed?
The abstention counts with the majority, therefore, this bylaw, the 3 readings can be considered tonight.
Thank you very much. Trustees, I'm going to ask if you have something to say to put up your hand, and I'll gladly call on you just so that we keep chatter down. Okay, so we now have carried the all 3 readings. So now let's get to the substance of the motion. Trustee Friedcote.
I move that the school district number 39, Vancouver Olympic Village Elementary School rezoning charges by law 2026 be read a first time the 17th day of June 2026, read a second time the 17th day of June 2026, read a third time and final time, passed and adopted the 17th day of June 2026.
Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson. Okay, I'd like to open this up to comment. Trustee Ma, would you like to begin?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. So this is the right time, right? Thank you. All right, so I strongly agree with the building of this new school. I think it's needed in the area. I did at Facilities Committee raise the concern of contamination. And we know that that school will be built on land that was previously used for industrial purposes. It was explained at that meeting that yes, that's already known, and hopefully there will be some shared cost if contamination is found. My other concern, and I've raised this throughout the process, is that the lack of parking spaces. And my concern is that this is a brand new school that's going up. It will limit staff. Like if staff were coming from Surrey or outside the Vancouver area, they may need to use a car and there will not be any parking for staff and they will have to pay out of pocket to park at work. And so I raised these concerns at multiple meetings, but the need for the new school trumps these other 2 issues that I've brought up. So I will be supporting this to go ahead.
Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, just one moment, please. Okay, wonderful. Seeing no other comments, then we can go to a vote. All those in favor? Okay, it has unanimous support. Thank you, everyone. Trustee Friedcote, do I have another matter arising from you?
No, Chair, thank you. There's no other matter arising.
Okay, now we will move to our next item on the agenda, 5.2, Policy and Governance Committee. And matter arising from the November 12th, 2025 meeting, the process for review and update of the Education Plan and Policy 1 foundational statement. So I'm going to ask Superintendent McGregor to present on this item.
Thank you, Chair. And for those of you following along, it's on page 179 out of 190 to help get people oriented. So the report, it's very important to note the boards of education and school districts are expected to develop multi-year strategic plans that guide operations over several years and illustrate a clear focus on improving student learning outcomes. The strategic plan, alongside the framework for enhancing student learning report, provide the North Star for a school district. From this flows alignment across the district with the financial planning processes, school and operational plans. Strategic planning and directions are a critical element of the governance of a school district. VSB's current education plan guides the work and is embedded in Policy 1, the foundational statements in our policies. Staff recommend that a newly elected board should have the opportunity to help shape the district's strategic direction early in its term, as this supports stronger alignment between board priorities, district planning, and implementation. The current education plan will remain in place through the 26-27 school year, while an updated plan is developed for implementation beginning in the 27-28 school year. At the November 12th, 2025 Policy and Governance Committee meeting, participants engaged in small group discussion regarding the process for reviewing and updating Policy 1 foundational statements. Feedback from rights holders and stakeholders in attendance at that meeting emphasized the importance of gathering diverse perspectives through accessible and inclusive methods, including surveys, focus groups, and targeted outreach. Participants highlighted the need to intentionally include voices that are often underrepresented in formal engagement processes. So consistent with that feedback, staff recommend a phased process for the review and update of VSB's strategic plan and policy 1. Before the 2026 trustee election, staff would focus on evidence gathering, internal engagement, and development of a detailed proposed engagement plan. Following the October 17th, 2026 trustee election, the incoming board will receive a summary of the findings to date and consider the proposed engagement plan. The engagement plan would then be refined as needed and brought forward to the board for approval for implementation. This approach supports meaningful participation, avoids public engagement during the summer and an election period, and ensures the incoming board has a clear role in guiding the next stage of the review and update the process of the strategic plan. So there is a recommendation, if you can put that up on the screen, please, that the board approve the process and timeline for the review and update of the VSB strategic plan and policy 1 foundational statements as outlined in this report, and that the board direct the superintendent to undertake evidence gathering, internal engagement, and planning for engagement in 2026, with final recommendations being brought to the board following the 2026 trustee election. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. This education plan is a strategic plan, or I guess the guiding principle that all the work is done through. So thank you for that work. And we will now, would anyone like to move the motion that the board approve the process that we see up there? Moved by trustee Richardson and seconded by trustee Friedcote. Any comments? Okay, oh, trustee Fraser.
Thank you. I'm just the wording. I think I understand from the report that the second from bottom line says planning for engagement in 2026. I think the 2026 is the work that will be undertaken in 2026 is evidence gathering, internal engagement, and planning for engagement, not that the engagement will happen in 2026. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, well, I just want to say thank you for this work. We have used our ed plan as to help direct us in the work that we do. Of course, respecting equity and through lenses that are important to education. So thank you for doing that. And we look forward to seeing how that work plays out. Seeing no other comments, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor? Okay, unanimous support. Thank you. Moving along. Old business. Number 6 on tonight's agenda. Matters arising from the May 27th, 2026 board meeting, trustee remuneration. This item is being brought forward from our last board meeting. The new policy 6, trustee remuneration and expenses, was adopted by the board. We will now consider the recommendation in the report, and I move that the board approve the following remuneration levels effective November 1, 2026. Board chair, $54,100, board vice chair, $47,800, and trustees at $41,600. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you. Any comment? Trustee Ma.
I will be speaking, I will be voting in opposition to this. This district has had a lot of cuts this year into our programs, into our classrooms, and I've said this previously. We should not be giving ourselves a 30% raise and a 15% raise. It's not right.
Thank you. Any other comments? Trustee Fraser.
Thank you. This process has been through committee twice. At the first committee, there was more of a high-level discussion about the process in which to undertake, in which trustees should, the structure for the remuneration. There was consideration of having attendance-based pay or whether it should continue to be a lump sum. And then the second time it came to the committee, there was discussion about how that amount, the recommendation after the first work was that it be a lump sum, and the second one was how to set that amount. And the discussion was to look at the surrounding school districts and take the average. So that is the process that has gone through committee twice and come to this point. I do think that the amount of time that has to be committed to being a trustee is a barrier for people if they are not being adequately compensated. If I know as a trustee that there's a barrier for many people to become a trustee, then I want to be able to address that. Of course, this is a raise for the next board. The next board may choose to do as it wish. But I would suggest that if they do make changes, that they have a clear process for how to set the amount going forward.
Trustee Richardson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to vote in favor of this motion. I know it's sensitive because some of the people around this table will be running again or seeking office again, and some may be retiring. But I think this was a process that is delicate in the sense that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. This is very much like members of parliament. At some point, they said there are some barriers to seeking the appropriate people to be members of parliament. It's very similar here. We're talking, and we heard 30%, and I appreciate I'm an accountant, but running the numbers, 30% may sound and will be a good soundbite. But the most important thing that this motion does is it recognizes the differential that the chair and the vice chair perform in terms of time and effort to be a trustee. So I look at, yes, the base salary of a trustee is being raised $4,385, and we can, is that on a per weekly basis or a monthly basis? The most important issue, and the one that seems to have received the most attention, is that the chair and the vice chair, and that originally was suggested and was actually pared back. Having been a chair, and I know Trustee Fraser has been a chair, I would say that the time and effort and involvement is probably 100%. I think that what we agreed on was a differential of 30% and 15% between the chair and the vice chair. And that just represents the fact that we want people that are able to, in fact, put the time in that is necessary to do the job of those positions. So although it's delicate, I think it's responsible that we face the reality that this position is remunerated and was fully engaged by the provincial government previously. In the past, it wasn't up to us. But at some point in the last number of years, the provincial government then gave the right to the boards to determine, and you'll notice in the report that in fact the salaries are, I won't say wildly, but there is a variation and a gap between some districts and others. And in terms of the justification, Vancouver is a complex district, And I suggest that this is a motion that is appropriate to attract the right people to be trustees, because this is a very important function. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other comments, I will make a comment about attracting good people is one. I think equity and representation is extremely important, and we can't have retired people only. This is a job where some people might have a PhD in chemistry or an MBA or an accounting degree or none of those things. And we should create an opportunity here so that we have a board that represents the people in the city. We go to trustee conferences and we see a certain demographic, and I don't think that represents Vancouver. And I fully support this, of course, knowing full well I have no interest in creating a salary for myself in this job right now, which is why I fully support this. And I think we have a lot of smart people at this table, and I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it so that we can have people who want to push education further and further as a district. And so I fully support this this bump up, because $54,000 as a board chair working full time in this district is not a lot of money. And if somebody can afford to live on that salary in this district, that's remarkable, but it is reasonably not the case. So what are we doing if we are not providing opportunities for people to do this job, because it is one of the most important jobs in the city? Seeing no other hands, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor. Trustee Richardson, Chen, Friedcoat, Chan Pedley. Oh, excuse me. Trustee Richardson, Chen, Pedley, Fraser, and Young. Those opposed. Trustee Ma and Trustee Friedcoat. Okay, the motion carries. We will move now to, excuse me while I get myself organized. 5 point. Perfect. Okay, we'll now go to Freddie. Freddie Zhang, our student trustee, and we'll ask that you read your report for us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm presenting my final report of the 2025 to 2026 school year. This month was in many ways a celebration of student voice across the district. Through the VDSC Arts Gala, students shared their creativity in an online gallery open to district-wide student voting. From visual art to poetry and performance, we opened entries to the widest range of mediums to date, and it was powerful to see how many different stories and perspectives students chose to share. We recognized 3 winners, but more importantly, the gala reflected the depth of talent across our schools. That same spirit carried into the Student Leadership Fund celebration on June 11th. Students from elementary and secondary schools gathered at the Ed Center to discuss their projects. They shared not just what they did, but what they learned along the way. Hearing students speak about their work, it was clear how much it mattered to them and how much they had grown through the experience. Many shared that the funding made their ideas possible in the first place. We are deeply grateful for the board's continued support of the fund, and the insights gathered at the showcase will directly shape how we continue to improve the processes for student involvement in this initiative. Student leadership across the district is thriving. As we come to the end of the year, VDSC has held its final general meeting where we reflected on what we learned and what we want to carry forward into 2026 to 2027. To end off my final report this year, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude. This term has taught me lessons that I could not learn anywhere else. It has been my absolute honor to sit at this table and represent over 50,000 students across the district, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we have done as a council to engage more students this year and fulfill our role as a stakeholder group that truly represents student voices. I've learned so much this term. That advocacy comes in many forms beyond formal policy, including education, systems change, and relationship building to advance shared priorities. That student perspectives can not only be considered in decision-making, but truly make an impact. and that representation is more than having a seat at the table. It's about building systems to uplift underrepresented voices. I saw all of this come to life in the work we did together this term, from advocacy on mental health and supports for students, to our budget advocacy on important student issues such as AI learning, washroom facilities, and STEM resources, to most of all, the many student voices we were able to uplift along the way, and I could not be more proud. None of this would have been possible without support from so many people. Thank you to my VDSC senior executive team for inspiring me with the genuine passion you have for amplifying student voice, for supporting me through times both easier and hard, and for all the laughs we've shared along the way. I will truly miss you all, and I'm so proud to see you graduate this year and continue in each of your post-secondary journeys. Thank you to Trish, Lisa, and Pedro for your endless patience and unconditional support. None of VDSC's advocacy would be possible without you, and words cannot express my gratitude for all that you do. And to the students across the district, the greatest happiness I've had this year has been hearing from you, and I'm grateful for every conversation, every concern shared, and every success celebrated together. Lastly, thank you to the board for believing in student voice and for showing me the depth of care you hold for students. Care so sincere that this body routinely stays up late debating issues that truly matter. One of the most meaningful parts of my role has been carrying that care back to students and helping them see that the people in this room are truly in their corner. I'm deeply honored to have been entrusted with the opportunity to continue serving students for a second term. Going forward, everything this year has taught me, standing as a source of continuity for our team, and bringing with me a renewed commitment to reaching every corner of the district, listening to every school, and ensuring that the creativity, resilience, and voices of students across Vancouver continue to shape the decisions made at this table. Thank you.
That was beautiful. We have seen you grow as a student, as a presenter, as a voice so beautifully over the last year, and we can't thank you enough for bringing student voice to us and doing it with such respect. And you've been an absolute gift to have at this board table. Are there any other comments or questions, Trustee Friedcoat?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank you for your dedication, for your strong voice that you bring it to the table. We wouldn't be able to do our job properly if it wasn't for you and this, the students that you represent in our district, your perspective, everything, the insight, it matters a lot. And this is what keeps us going. And many of our decisions, the motions, what we do over here is because of you guys, right? So I'm just very pleased to hear your speech, and I just wish you good luck for the next year with the new board. So thank you.
Trustee Fraser?
Thank you. And I won't repeat all the effusive praise, but I will echo it. But my question is, you must have written the report before the general meeting. Is there anything you said at the meeting, you reflect on what you learned and what you want to carry forward next year? Is there something you can share about what happened at the meeting and how the things that are going to be carried forward were discussed?
Yeah, thanks for the question through the chair. I think one of the most meaningful reflections that came out of our meeting was in discussing how we can better work together as one executive team on VDSC and working together as students to bring together our perspectives and really deepen our collaboration as a council as we look ahead to next year.
Trustee Richardson?
Chair, thank you, Freddie. I think I underline the fact that you may be the continuity You're the person at this table come November that may have the perspective and that continuity that you talk, or the collaboration that you're talking about in terms of VDSD can in fact VDSC. In fact, I think is something that we as trustees may wish to take away from you in terms of that. I do note something that you mentioned, I think in your report several meetings ago, that you had attended an Ontario conference and that you were the only rep from outside of Ontario, a student trustee. So I think that to those that have watched for many years Vancouver school board meetings, this is a unique position. And for all those that are looking, it is something that we should be trying to raise the profile to show the value in this board to have a place of a student and that student voice, which is so important, actually at our table, not just at the committee tables. And I guess my last thing is I'd like to thank at each of our meetings, be it FESL or the actual committee meetings, subcommittee meetings, there's always a student there or two or three, or in the case of FESL, I think four, that are there providing us with that on the ground comments. And I thank you for that.
Trustee Ma.
So Freddie, thank you very much for your service. And I'd also like to say, you know, you're a leader here and you're also a leader at the City of Vancouver Youth, Children and Family Advisory Committee, because I'm the trustee liaison to that committee and I see your good work there. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't realize that. That's great. Good work, Freddie. Any other comments before we move on? Okay. The online link for submitting questions is now closed. Before we go on, we'll go to 8 reports from trustee representatives. And tonight we have one in our agenda package from Trustee Ma, which is from the City of Vancouver Youth, Children and Family Advisory Committee. Thank you, Trustee Ma, for including that in the package tonight. And okay, we are going to take a recess before we go into new business because we also will then be able to address the questions that have come in. So we'll just take this one break now and hope that we don't need any more before the end of the meeting. We'll take a recess. It is now 8:15 and we'll be back. Well, we'll be back. I don't think we need to time. 10 minutes? Okay, we'll take 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you. Great, thank you everyone for your patience. Moving right along, we'll go to number 9 on the agenda, which is new business. 9.1. We have another bylaw. I'll ask Secretary Treasurer Coughlin to introduce the item of trustee elections bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This item is included in the agenda package starting on page 185. The School Act requires the board to adopt a bylaw establishing procedures for trustee elections. The proposed school district number 39 Vancouver trustee elections bylaw number 6 replaces the current trustee elections bylaw number 5, which was adopted on July 4th, 2018. And the new bylaw updates the board's election bylaw to reflect current legislation and alignment with the City of Vancouver elections bylaw. The draft bylaw was developed based on advice from the BC School Trustees Association, was refined by legal counsel to reflect the Vancouver context, and was shared with the City of Vancouver staff for review. All feedback received is incorporated in the bylaw that is presented tonight for trustee consideration. Be happy to answer any questions that trustees may have.
Thank you very much. Okay, I don't see any questions from trustees, so we can move along to adoption or voting. Okay. Okay, I move that the school district number 39 Vancouver trustee elections bylaw number 6 be given 3 readings at this meeting. Is there a seconder? Trustee Ma. Any comment about the 3 readings? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous support. Thank you. That is carried. Just carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, I am here. I move that the school district number 39 Vancouver trustee elections bylaw number 6 be read a first time the 17th day of June 2026, read a second time the 17th day of June 2026, and read a third and final time passed and adopted the 17th day of June 2026. Is there a seconder? Trustee Richardson, thank you very much. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous support. Thank you. Now we'll go to 9.2. We have an addition on the agenda tonight, which is the motion that is seen up on the screen here. And I will ask for a mover, Trustee Ma, and a seconder. Okay, Trustee Friedcoat. Trustee Ma, go ahead.
I should read the motion out first, right? Is that correct? Yeah? Okay. So I would move that the Vancouver School Board pause the suspension of the Britannia Hockey Academy for the 2026-27 school year, and that the VSB A, establish transparent enrollment targets and timelines for program viability. B, work with Britannia's PAC, alumni, minor hockey associations, and Indigenous community leaders in 2026-27 to aggressively promote the program and rebuild enrollment. And C, look for new and innovative ways to promote and publicize this local program for student athletes who are unable to afford the private for-profit hockey academies in the Lower Mainland.
Thanks. I just want to remind those, I'm going to let you speak, just a reminder about not to talk about staffing or any staffing or personnel matters, but go ahead.
So the Britannia Hockey Academy is a vital and unique community school program offering local kids an opportunity to get high-level coaching and player development at much lower costs to the prohibitively expensive, exclusive private hockey academies. Current enrollment includes Indigenous students. National Coaching Certification Program certificates are available to students in grades 10, 11, and 12, and referee certification is available to BHA participants. Many students participating in this program have achieved employment opportunities and scholarships, which they would not have otherwise received. So it's my understanding, Chair, that in 2017, this program has been around for a long time, at least a decade or more. And in 2017, the program had 7 students enrolled. My understanding is that currently there are 13 students enrolled and 11 confirmed for next year. And on June the 3rd, the Britannia PAC was told that there would be this pause to the program. And my understanding is that parents were then of the Britannia Hockey Academy was then informed of this decision afterwards. The Vancouver School Board plans to not run the Britannia Hockey Academy in the 2026-27 school year, representing a major loss to the community and to the families of enrolled and future student athletes. I also would like to add that my understanding is that they're having their year-end banquet this coming week. And I think that the parents and the students are very upset about this recent decision. So Administrative Procedure 220, Section 4 outlines the process for monitoring program review. Section 4.3 states, such programs are to be modified or discontinued in accordance to the needs of the student population. The program does not set out a minimum enrollment number for program viability, and parents who are currently in the program were not made aware upon registration that the program could be modified or discontinued when reviewed. So in other words, parents who signed up for this, they do not know whether the program is going to run or not. There isn't anything to say the minimum is 12 or the minimum is 15 in order for the program to go ahead. So parents sign up thinking that they're going to be able to have their children in this program for the longevity of through to grade 12. And then when they find out that they cannot continue, that's very upsetting. Section 4.4 states, recommendations to discontinue existing programs will be approved by the board. A pause, in this case, is essentially a discontinuation, as students will no longer have access to the program, and if registration is not permitted for next year, there will be no opportunity for enrollment to restart the program in 2027-28. The program is under, my understanding is that the program runs from January to June. So because this decision was made in June, that would mean that there would be very little opportunity. These students that are currently enrolled would have to go either to another school, go back to their home school, be absorbed into the regular programs, regular PE program at Britannia. And again, you know, when students leave a program, it's highly unlikely that they're going to return. So when we talk about enrollment, a pause is essentially a discontinuation, as students will no longer have access to the program. And if registration is not permitted for next year, there's no opportunity for enrollment, effectively basically discontinuing and eliminating the program. So I would say that to trustees that I believe that a pause is actually discontinuing, and under our own administrative procedures, the board is supposed to be discussing the discontinuation of this program and eliminating the program. And that's why I think this needs to be brought forward to the board for your consideration tonight. I noticed that there are people from the program, parents and children from the program. I think they're interested in knowing what we decide and how we feel about it. Certainly, there was a mention when this was being debated as to whether to even have it on the agenda. You know, somebody was saying, a trustee was saying that it's operational. Well, I would say that this is not operational. It is governance, because we're talking about a program. We're talking about children. We're talking about families. We're talking about a community, a unique program. And if you look at the goals, the Ed Plan goals that I put, one of the goals is to look at raising up Indigenous participation and improving their education. And because we know that Britannia has a high population of Indigenous students, we also know that there are some Indigenous students in this program. I am concerned that if we decide to go ahead and discontinue this program and put it on pause, we're basically effectively killing the program and it will never come back to that school. So that's why I'm urging all of you to vote in favor of putting a 1-year pause. That doesn't mean that we can't review it, and I think we should review it. I think we should put the work into it. I think we should try to grow it. I think it's a jewel in that community, and to remove it, it would be a disaster. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Trustee Friedcoat.
I have a question to the staff. Can you clarify why this program is being paused at this time? Or is there any alternative that was considered before recommending this course of action?
I'll defer that to Pedro de Silva for comment, please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. First, maybe just in my role, I'm fortunate enough to support the Britannia Secondary School. It's actually one of my favorite assignments we've had. We have, I think, a really strong principal at the school. We've worked really hard over the last few years to talk a lot about Britannia. I think given the complexity of the community and where our hearts are, we think a lot about Britannia. And I think I just would like to start and maybe give some context to why we're here. One of the interesting thing about Britannia, like other schools, like we have some declining enrollment. And of course, when declining enrollment takes place, it has impact on staffing. What happens at schools is when we go through a staffing process, we allocate blocks for schools to staff their schools. And that process is actually quite a collaborative process. It involves everyone seeing what all the course requests for all the students in the school. It involves recommendation from staff through staff committee. It involves principals making decisions on how to support the resourcing of the students at their schools. And, you know, I will say with confidence that, as I mentioned earlier, because we think a lot about Britannia, it is by far the most well-resourced staffing school in this city. And it's something that I think we're very proud of. The reality for us at times, though, is there's not infinite resources. And so what schools are sometimes left with, and it's not a Britannia only thing, it's also other schools, is that they will have to prioritize the educational program based on the requests. And so when my understanding is, in talking through the director of instruction and the principal, is that they originally had 11 requests. And what's complicated about the academy is that they're an academy through the one class. And so the rest of their courses are done at Britannia. And I would say, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I apologize. So schools basically have to decide at some point how they're going to allocate the resources. And so the principal and the school at the time, with a lot of consultation with the staff, determined that by removing that class, they were able to offer another class that would have potentially impacted more students. And those are really difficult decisions that occur in all of the schools. And I think that that was a decision that was made collectively at the school, and those are not easy decisions. Like, we have big hearts for the Britannia community. And so if in our position, we would absolutely support the work of the staff, the principals, and the director of instruction. And so we're here now because the decision was made that prioritized educational program in one area versus another. Thank you. And I apologize for my loss of thought.
Thank you, Pedro. Trustee Chen?
Thank you, Chair. Just good questions, like how much students have to pay for to participate for hockey academy?
I think we're gonna look it up. I don't know the exact dollars.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Well-
I appreciate that. We're going to ask staff
Yeah, if you just give us a second.
to just confirm, and I understand So I hear people yelling my name and I appreciate that. We're going to wait till we get the answer from staff before we move along. I appreciate all the voices at the table just to get the answer.
Yes, that's right. Our school fees, it says $800. $800 per student per year.
Okay, Trustee Chin, did that satisfy your question?
So compared to other school district that offer hockey academy, ours is almost the lowest already. But we still have struggling for enrollment, is that correct?
Yeah, so every year when we advertise through our mini schools and our academies, we put out notice for parents, and within the school, we ask what courses do students want to take. So all those things happen. So this year, the requests were 11 students. And so I would also like to say, I know there are lots of parents and things, and we've had lots of conversations with the principal. There is a high degree of there's a lot of energy to want to get students coming to Britannia to take this academy course. I think what happened to school, is, as I said before, is that they were caught between a decision around which educational programming they offered to the schools. And as I said, that's always a difficult decision, and this one was for the school.
Trustee Friedcote.
I just want to say, as a parent, I know that paying for any type of sport is very expensive. This program only charges $800 a year. I mean, many people out there are not able to afford clubs and special training for their kids. Enrollment, I believe, like we already had 13 kids and 11 are already enrolled for next year. And I understand this is a difficult decision, sometimes needs to be made. However, those kids are looking forward to this program. And sometimes these programs like hockey or basketball or anything, they're not just a program, they're actually a connection for a student to the school, to build their confidence. How much our focus is, at the end of the day, is students' development, and cutting these type of programs, I believe, is we're pretty much telling the kids, okay, go do any bad things out there, and all these good programs are not going to be available for you. I think we need to. I know the staff has worked very hard, and I'm not going to underestimate that. But I think we really need to look at this program again and see what we can do to get more enrollment, engage more people, or why this program is even up for suspension. Like, we need to go back and pause this suspension for now. So thank you.
Trustee Fraser.
So, thank you, Chair. And I appreciate the discussion that's been had and the interest in this program. However, as was mentioned previously, this is an operational decision that was made at the school level. There may be, and balancing out the needs of all the students in the school within the parameters that the principal and the staff are able to work within. So I'm not in support of pausing the suspension, because that work has been done at the school level. We as a board, make the high level decisions. We know that schools are arranged around enrollment and the programs that students wish to partake in. But I do think that there is a lot of passion, and as Trustee Friedcote said, that this is a very important part for many families. I don't believe that a pause is a discontinuation. What I'd like to do is suggest an amendment to the motion, which I believe we should have.
Would you like to read your amendment or describe it or read it for us? Thank you.
So the amendment is to not pause the suspension, but to continue to work with the Britannia community to continue with parts, what were originally B and C of the motion, to look at ways to continue this program.
Is there a seconder? Trustee Chan Petley, thank you very much. Trustee Fraser, would you like to speak to your amendment?
I feel like I've actually already spoken to the amendment, so I apologize if I did that
that's
in the
fine.
wrong order.
Any comments? Trustee Ma.
Yeah, I'm going to speak in opposition to the amendment. I think what it does is it basically does the very thing that that my original motion was trying to stop, which is to not have a suspension of the program. This is basically just saying that we just work with the stakeholders and we build enrollment and we look at ways of publicizing the program. At the end of the day, the program will be gone. Like the 11 students that are currently enrolled, what happens to them? Like it's gone for them. And will they come back? And we still have not determined what is a viable enrollment number. So I do not agree with this amendment. I think that it basically is talking about more talk, and basically at the end of the day, the families and the students lose out. So I will not be supporting this amendment.
Trustee Chan and then Trustee Richardson.
Thank you, Chair. Operational questions though. If this motion's carry, I just wondering like for operation wise, like let's say if we gives time for the PAC, alumni and minor hockey association enough time, let's say if they, by the mid of August, for example, if there's like double the enrollment, operation wise, we will continue the program or it's not feasible?
Is it Pedro? Would you mind? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do monitor staffing all the way through spring and into September. And sometimes if we get increased students that come into a school, we'll adapt our staffing in September to reflect the enrollment. So like in the instance that you're speaking of, if all of a sudden, 12 or 13 students came in to Britannia and showed an interest, we would definitely work with the staff to see if we can accommodate that as part of the staffing process.
Trustee Richardson.
Thank you, Chair. This is really a clarification of Trustee Chen's question. This is really a deadline. My understanding is this program will be offered in the block that starts in January. Is that correct?
Pedro?
All right, so a couple of things since we're talking about specifics. I do also want to clarify the difference between the requests and actually how many students get the option of the course. And so if any of you are familiar with high school, you've been in school, a lot of times the requests are the things that generate timetables. Given that many of these students are in grade 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, it was also shared with us that there was a high probability that the number of students who actually could take the course would be less because it's very difficult to build a timetable that actually accommodates that process. So although there's 11, the chances are that it's more likely it might have been 8 or 9 depending on the schedule. To your question, when they build timetables, sometimes it will land in the semester 1, sometimes it will land in semester 2, depending on how to accommodate the needs of the students that are requesting the courses.
Follow up?
A follow-up. I guess my question is, if a deadline of, I say August 15th was established, and I appreciate, I'm not even sure if there's someone there to accept the applications or the transfer requests. Is it feasible that if there is a concerted campaign to say, hey, this program exists, if you're not aware of it, be aware of it and commit to it? There must have been a deadline for this decision to be able to go into timetabling. And I appreciate that timetabling is very complex. I mean, someone last week was talking about, I mean, some high-level physics courses and others that there's 2 or 3 students at a school. I mean, that may be a VLN thing, but in this case, VLN is not an option to play hockey. Is there an option of just simply delaying the drop dead date for those commitments? And has that been taken into account, or are we beyond that?
So I hear what the trends are right now in Vancouver, and over the projections is that we're getting a decrease in students in almost every school. So generally, like when we're planning for schools, we plan on the actual enrollment and the requests that are in front of us. So talking about hypotheticals or addressing hypotheticals is probably not helpful in the situation. I mentioned earlier that if there was an increase of students and that request showed up in September and it was clear, we would adapt and provide resourcing for the students. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, so we have currently an amendment on the table, so I would like to look to trustees. We don't have anyone looking to speak, so I'd like to address the amendment so that we can go to the amended motion or original motion. So all those in favor of the amendment that we see on the screen? Trustees Chan Pedley and trustees Fraser. Those opposed? Trustees Ma, Richardson, Chen, Friedcoat, and I am abstaining for this amendment. We'll now go back to the original motion as seen. And we'll open up comments before we go to a vote. Is there anything anyone would like to say? You'll close. I'll ask you to close. Yeah, absolutely. Trustee Fraser.
There's been the issue raised of what are the options for students if this program doesn't continue. So what is that situation?
Pedro de Silva.
Yep. So depending on the students will get their educational options with other PE classes. So as I mentioned before, the academy, the students run through a PE block. And so there is an opportunity for them to stay at Britannia and to engage in physical education.
To follow up on that, Pedro, for the class, how many block options do you know they would have access to for PE? Would it just be the one, just like this, to fit into a timetable?
Yeah, so let's say that you have grade 8s, grade 9s like we do, a multi-grade, they would have the options of that class within the cohorted group. And so their option, if you're in grade 8, you'd have 3 or 4 options to do PE in that block, just like the grade 9. So there'd be many options for them to take physical and health education.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other hands. Trustee Friedcoat.
Thank you. I just want to know first my question and then a comment. So when this program was actually established in the beginning, was there any like a minimum enrollment target that was set by the schools?
Pedro.
I'd have to go back to the original board motion to be sure, but I'm going to assume that there wasn't, or we would have already have found that. Thank you.
Okay.
And my comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, I know that the staff has worked a lot on this and it's not an easy thing to decide on, but I think these type of programs are very rare to find, especially in a school system. I would have loved to have my kids in there if they were at Britannia, but I believe that every single student deserves every opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed, whether it's in classroom or outside the classroom. So, you know, and these type of things are matters because sometimes these small little things inspire the students to actually come to school. So I will be supporting this motion.
Trustee Chen.
It's tough decision. As a board, I think we have to balance the budget and also like we have to figure out like how many students are enrolling. But this program is very elite. It's the only one in Greater Vancouver that are using this. I think what was it called? Like I forgot the name, but then it's a special skill program that offer from Hockey Canada. Even North Vancouver, Delta, they don't have this kind of like stuff. So like I really want to support it. So I would like to amend the motion if possible that allowing the pause suspension up to like the end of August. So that giving everyone a time to see whether you guys can promote and get more students to engage. So buy some time, and then I'm not sure if it's feasible. I understand it's a little bit operational, but when we only have 10 students that enroll the program, this is a very tough decision. We have to, I mean, pause a while. But then I would love to have the Pat Online and minor hockey lead to try it for the next 2 months. I'm not sure if it's doable or
So
not.
we have staff working on what that amendment would look like. Okay, Alfred, or excuse me, Trustee Chen, are you, is what you see sufficient to what you were looking for? Would you mind speaking into your microphone so people at home could hear you?
Oh, I just want to make sure that I think we only know this like in a short notice, right? So it's a tough decision. So I want to give them some time to saying that, oh, actually there's lots of people interest into the program. So at least they give a try.
Does the amendment address what you're looking for?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Trustee Freecoat. Okay, any other comment on the amendment? Would anyone like to, okay, we got Trustee Richardson and then Trustee Ma.
I would ask, through the chair, I'd ask staff, I mean, and that's the idea is that there was a deadline. And I appreciate tabling has happened, but we heard that if numbers are sufficient in September, their tabling then is, I say disrupted, tabling is then reopened. Interested if the associate superintendent has any further comment in terms of this amendment, whether in fact, I mean, what I think Trustee Chen is saying is work really hard. And so coming back at the end of August, when you open up your email at the school level, there will be a whole lot of applications of people who have said, having been made aware of this program, the existence of this block, I'd like my child to avail themselves of it. Is there any other information? I mean, I appreciate the deadline was probably what, February or March in terms of an indication when the decision was to suspend the program. Does this, in fact, is this workable? Although I appreciate we're playing with the trains.
Pedro de Silva?
So I think there's many processes going on at the same time. So I'll talk to it from a staff perspective, as I think I will articulate. The staffing of schools is an ongoing process that happens from the spring all the way until September. And in many cases, if we get a reduction, we have to adapt staffing to collective agreement ratios. And if we get increased staffing, then we would also have to provide the resourcing for that to happen in September. I believe operationally that handles much of the conversation here.
Trustee Ma.
Respectfully, I'm going to vote against this amendment. And the reason why I'm going to vote against is that I think as trustees, we need to decide, does this program deserve to be kept? Or does this program, should we suspend it? To just play with dates and move the dates around puts more pressure on parents in the community. It creates more unknowns for people. And at the end of the day, we still have not decided whether or not there's a minimum number in order for this program to go ahead. At the end of the day, at the end of August, who makes that decision? And is the board, which we are discussing now, do we have a say in whether the program continues or not? Because we don't know what the minimum number is. So I do not agree with this end of August. I think the best thing to do is to either vote in favor of the motion as it was put forward, or to just, if trustees feel compelled to pause the program or unpause the program. I think that's what we should be deciding tonight.
Any last comments on the amendment that we see? Trustee Friedcote.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't agree with the amendment, even though I seconded just for discussion. I believe the original motion itself, it says that for 1 year, which is 2026, 2027. And if in that 1 year, if we can promote that program and rebuild the enrollment, then it's good. Like, we don't even have to worry about the suspension of this program for later on. So it's only for 1 year that we're trying to pause the suspension and give it enough time to the parents, the community, and the students for them to see if the enrollment numbers are high up, or if it's not, then, you know, they know what's coming for the following year.
Does anyone have anything new to add? Or, okay, we'll go to now the voting on the amendment that we see up. Those in favor? Trustees Chen and Trustee Chan-Pedley, those against? Trustees Ma, Richardson, Friedcote, Fraser, and Young. The amendment does not pass, so we'll go to the original motion. Is there anything anyone would like to say that is new? Trustee Fraser.
So we've heard that if there is additional enrollment, then the program may run. That would depend on the work that's happening at the school and how they are timetabling. That's my understanding. I want to pick up on something another trustee said about giving every student every opportunity to succeed. And as a trustee, every year I hear about classes that are not running in secondary schools, or because there is not enough enrollment. And I'm concerned that if we step in and override what's happening at a school, do a top-down approach from the board, that's not respecting the school community and the work that they're doing. And it's not allowing the work to provide the opportunities that we can for students. I want to say yes to everything. When I'm in the budget meetings, I want to say yes to everything. When people come before me and as a trustee and say, I want this to happen in my school, I want to be able to say yes to everything, but we do have a process that works district-wide for 50,000 students. And it's enrollment driven. And I do think that if, you know, as we've heard this evening, this is in the media, I think that will spur people who have an interest to explore if that's a possibility for their child. And so if there is the enrollment in September, then I think this can go ahead. So I'm not in favor of pausing the suspension. I don't agree that pausing is discontinuing the program. So I do believe we are meeting our policy requirements.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. Okay, I'm just going to make comment before going back to Trustee Ma to close. I think that it's important to ground ourselves in our respective roles. Trustees are responsible for setting strategic direction and making decisions in the best interest of the system as a whole, while staff bring forward their professional expertise, operational insight, and recommendations based on conditions in schools. In that context, I'll note the motion before us is quite prescriptive. We should be mindful of how that intersects with the role of staff to operationalize decisions. The motion reflects a very difficult reality. Declining enrollment has left us with no viable option but to consider reductions to this program. I do want to acknowledge how unfortunate it is that we are making these decisions within a budget framework that must be approved before we have confirmed enrollments, but that was done with respecting the staff at the school level. So as Trustee Ma noted, this when we voted to add this to the agenda, the comment was made about this being divisive. But in truth, it is not divisive. We all share the same goal of wanting to see this program succeed. As other trustees commented about our goal to promote student success. The challenge is that at current enrollment levels, the program cannot be delivered in a way that, quote, is educationally sound and operationally viable, which is something that our APs and policies talk about. I also want to recognize that the principal is the expert in that school community. We rely on their on-the-ground knowledge and professional judgment, while as a board, we must weigh those insights along with our responsibility to make system-wide decisions. I am extremely disappointed to vote against this motion because I do think it is an incredible program that we have at our schools, much like many programs we have across the district. And it is an absolute pleasure talking to other districts to be able to talk about how great some of our programs in Vancouver are. And this is one of them. And the reality is, as you know, staff mentioned, enrollment is declining across the district. And we're seeing that play out in enrollment in language programs, and that is the reality of our district. And also the changing demographics. What people were interested in 30, 50 years ago, it is changing. We've seen the introduction of a lot of technologies and other things to change interests. So I will be voting against this motion. I would like to see the Hockey Academy succeed. The reality is at this board table, we make decisions as a governance decisions for the entire district and not for specifically school-based programs. Trustee Ma, I would invite you to close to motivate your motion.
Thank you. So just a clarification, the Hockey Academy is a district program. It's not a school-based program. So it draws from students from different schools all across Vancouver. And Trustee Chen, you talked about the uniqueness of this program and that $800 is not a lot of money. I talked to some parents and they said that to go to a private hockey academy, the cost is considerably higher. And when we talk about our board, and one of our key education plan goals is to look at equity. And I just feel for this community, and I feel for the students and the parents that this is an opportunity for them to play a sport, for them to stay in school versus dropping out of school, for them to gain certification in an area that will give them employment, that will give them opportunities, that will give them maybe the opportunity to be the next NHL hockey star, for instance. And we have decided that this program doesn't go ahead. And in 2017, this program went ahead with 7 students. 7 students. So we need to, as a board, say, you know what? Maybe we make an exception to this one program, and maybe we let it live for another year until we find out whether this program is viable, whether we can grow it. I would like to see it grow. I would like to see it expand. I'd like more hockey academies if we had that opportunity. So I urge you, trustees, you know, let's give these children and these families a reason to celebrate at their year-end banquet rather than going to a year-end banquet where they're mourning the loss of their program.
Those in favor of the motion on the screen? Those in favor of the motion that you see? Trustees Ma, Richardson, and Friedcoat. Those opposed? Trustee Chan Pedley, Trustee Fraser, Trustee Chen, and Trustee Young. The motion does not pass. I do want to acknowledge everyone in the audience. We appreciate you coming out. There are a lot of hard decisions that happen at this table that we don't want to have to make. And so we appreciate you coming here to advocate for your school communities. We are going to now move to agenda item 11 on the, which is on the agenda, a public question period. We have received a couple of questions that I'll quickly go over. The first one was a decision on the Britannia hockey program, and they asked how were the communities and interest holders consulted prior to the decision. And a lot, of course, was discussed tonight, and it's a choice program where students follow the regular academic program, but replace one semester of physical and health education with a hockey-focused course. In 2026-27, interest was very low, with only 11 students initially and an estimated 8 to 9 available to participate due to scheduling conflicts. The school will continue to monitor interest for possible future return. A second question was raised about resource teacher levels and how student supports will be maintained or supplemented. And resource teacher staffing is determined actually based on collective agreement ratios. And so those the collective agreement ratios are tied to student enrollment, which will be lower next year. So that is what influences those levels. As always, supports for student learning is our priority. Going to item 12 on tonight's agenda. I'm going to report out 2 meetings. However, we've actually taken a recess from our previous meeting, so just a reminder to trustees after this meeting, we need to go and finish the agenda for the meeting that we recessed. So at the board authorized the board chair to report to the June 17th, 2026 public meeting that the special private session of June the 8th, 2026 and June 29th, 2026, the board discussed an appeal matter. And 12.2, that at the special private session of June the 17th, 2026, the board discussed a personnel matter. And that is all to report out today. And we will adjourn now. It is now 9:21, and if I don't see any issues, okay, we will adjourn by consensus. Thank you.